The kickoff from Tuscaloosa is next. These two border rivals are separated by only 82 miles. That is the shortest distance between any two SEC schools. Alabama has a huge overall lead in this series that started all the way back in 1896. But Mississippi State has won 6 of the last 12 games, including the last 2 years, and that is certainly a burr under the saddle for Alabama. Before the kick, let's check in with Holly Rowe. Holly.
Well, Mike, Nick Saban has used last year's loss as a way to motivate his team this entire season. He took a picture of that scoreboard with that losing score. He's posted it everywhere throughout the football facility. Big posters, little posters, to remind his team that without work, perseverance, and commitment, the same results would happen this year. Now, their safety, Rashad Johnson, told me, look, we didn't know how to persevere last year. We didn't work hard enough. He said, this year's team is different. He said, we have taken those posters to heart and done what we had to do to make the necessary changes. He said, frankly, we're sick of seeing him everywhere. John Parker Wilson, the quarterback, said, Coach has promised us if we win, he'll take him down. And he said, thank goodness, because we're sick of looking at him.
I can only imagine, Holly. Coming up on our show tonight, homecoming for Sylvester Croom. We'll tell you what the University of Alabama means to him. Also, we'll play Did You Know? And you'll be interested in history of the Houndstooth Hat and Bear Bryant. And Taste of the Town rolls into Tuscaloosa. And Todd finds another high-calorie way to start the day off just right. Now, the thermometer says it's 46 degrees, but I'll tell you, it is a cold 46 degrees. I'm already buttoned up about it.
Gloves on already.
Oh, I do. Wind 8 to 14 miles an hour. It's clear it will get a lot colder. It'll be down near freezing before the night is over here in Tuscaloosa. Adam Carlson to kick to Arenas and McCoy. And as Todd said, they don't want to be burned by Javier Arenas. McCoy in front of Arenas. Across the 25 near the 30-yard line. Alabama quarterback John Parker Wilson has not put up huge numbers this year. He has been asked to manage the game and keep mistakes to a minimum. He has done just that, completing nearly 60% of his passes.
One of the biggest areas where I think he has improved is just his overall decision-making. I think for the most part this year, they are very pleased with his decision-making as the quarterback of this football team.
They'll start with 2 tight ends. Coffee is the tailback, and Coffee has had a whale of a season so far. He's run very, very hard. Mississippi State, the strength of that defense in the middle, and Dominique Douglas was in on the tackle, the middle linebacker. You can check out the lineups at the top of your screen.
One of the things Mississippi State really has to do a great job of tonight is defend this running game of Alabama. Coming into the ball game, the 11th defense in the SEC in terms of stopping the run. They've got to do much better than that tonight to have any kind of chance in the ball game.
Coffee goes out as a wide receiver. Here comes the blitz. They throw underneath. Complete to Julio Jones, the talented freshman, who breaks about 4 tackles and gets up to the 44-yard line before Keith Fitzhugh brought him down.
And on that play, you see what makes Julio so special is his strength after the catch. I mean, his ability to break tackles, arm tackles, and continue a play. I mean, that's a short pass. He would have been tackled short of the first down, but he's still able to fight through it and get extra yardage. His 19th catch now in the last 3 games plus tonight.
41 for the season. He is the leading receiver for this ball club that's dominated by the run. Coffee with a big hole across midfield into Mississippi State territory. Almost unbelievably, Alabama has not scored on offense against Mississippi State. Wait for it. 3 years.
Yeah, no touchdown. Well, last year's game was really interesting. You know, they had a 9-3 lead right before halftime, and they drove right down to the 1-yard line with a chance to score again. And John Parker Wilson was intercepted on 3rd down and was returned 100 yards for a touchdown. And that really turned that game around for Mississippi State right before the half.
You might wonder why Alabama, after winning the toss, elected to receive is because they have started so fast on offense all year long. John Parker Wilson trying to pick up a couple of yards, and he's taken out at the 48-yard line by Fitzu and Jimmy Holmes, the defensive end number 97, who was chasing the play. And with a defense as good as Alabama has, when they get off to that fast start, it just makes it doubly difficult for the other team.
Yep. You know, and really, when you look at that statistic, that's what makes what they did last week even more impressive. I mean, they were trailing in the first quarter last week to LSU 14-7, had to overcome a lot to win that football game and found a way.
3rd and 2. Coffee on the toss. They love to run left. But they're going to be short on this. And when you can run behind Andre Smith, 71, Mike Johnston, 78, and Antoine Caldwell, the center, all honors candidates, well, that's the choice you make most of the time.
Yeah, good decision making on that. Mississippi State did a nice job of just stretching this play and not letting Coffee get his shoulders turned upfield. And a big stop for the Bulldog defense on 3rd down.
No hesitation at all. Nick Saban sends on P.J. Fitzgerald and the punt team.
That's what's called playing to the strength of your team. Play to your defense.
Derek Pegues is deep. Quick angle toward the sideline and down at the 1. What a job by Rashad Johnson.
Rashad Johnson has become a big play guy for this Alabama football team. 3 interceptions last week, 1 for a touchdown. This time, you just can't draw it up any better for the special teams. Your defense is the strength of your team. You put them on the field the first time with the opponent on their own 1-yard line.
They're used to Rashad Johnson making plays. He had 3 interceptions last week. Tyson Lee is coming off the best game of his career. 261 yards passing against Kentucky and 2 touchdowns.
And a new center tonight, a new starting center, DJ Looney for Mississippi State. Got to make sure of that first snap.
Dixon is the running back, trying to wedge out a little breathing room, and the 240-pounder gets maybe 1. Terrence Mount Cody makes the tackle.
Mentioned the new center. The starting center has been J.C. Brignoni. He's now starting at left guard. And the reason for the switch, they just felt that this combination of 5 guys with Looney as the starting center gives them the best 5 guys out there, because they know to have a chance tonight, they must play well at the line of scrimmage.
And Brignoni is a tremendous player, whether they have him at center or guard. Taking an awful long time to come out of the huddle. Play clock's already at 4. From the end zone and overthrown. Badly overthrown by Tyson Lee. Intended for Aubrey Bell, but he was well covered anyway.
Well, Mike, as you said, DJ Looney getting his first start tonight going up against Terrence Cody. I actually caught him on the field right before the game and asked him how he was feeling. He said, I'm sure I'll get a little nervous once I get out there, but right now I am ready to roll. The coaches pointed out that because he was a standout state high school wrestler rated #1 at the heavyweight, he says that he has better leverage than Cody. They think he can get down and under him and hold his own.
Holly, he may have wrestled heavyweights, but nobody like Cody at 365. Complete out to the 12-yard line. Nice throw by Tyson Lee to Brandon McCray. Or check it, it's at the 7, and Javier Barinas makes the tackle. So they'll have to kick it away, but they did move it out away from the goal line.
Right, they got themselves a little bit of breathing room to kick the football. And now they got to count on Blake McAdams to knock one out of there for them. But again, here is Javier Arenas. Now their idea is to kick high, doesn't have to be deep, but to the bottom of the numbers.
Anthony Barr's the new snapper. It was high, and they block it. Blocked by Kareem Jackson, and that's his safety. So Bowles, the new snapper, in there because Aaron Feld is hurt. Snapped it high, and they didn't get it away.
Well, and Kareem Jackson was over the wide receiver, and at the last minute moved in, and they did not account for him, and that's why they were able to get the block. They did not account for the extra rusher when Jackson came off the end.
And McAdams never had a chance. Alabama jumps on top. It is 2-0 Crimson Tide. To Tuscaloosa, Alabama, everybody. Alabama's defense with a block punt out of the end zone. They lead 2-0. Yeah, everybody's chilly. Arenas and Julio Jones are deep. And Carlson with a free kick. Good one.
Real good.
Boy. That's all you can ask out of your kicker on a free kick.
Let's go back to the block punt now. This is Kareem Jackson right here. And everybody's so concerned about kicking to Arenas, but watch what he does. At the last minute, he times it by coming in off the receiver, and they don't account for the extra rusher. Again, they're concerned about protecting. They're concerned about covering on Arenas, and they don't account for the extra rusher. Now, the snap was a little bit high, but McAdams had no chance with Jackson in his face.
So Alabama will start at its own 20. John Parker Wilson flushed and slides in safe after a gain of about 1.
Well, I tried to do something different tonight with impact players, and this offensive line is the strength, and the left side is the strength of that. Andre Smith, the left tackle, one of the best I've ever seen, 6'5", 335. Mike Johnson was a right tackle last year, a left guard this year, outstanding player. And Antoine Caldwell making his 44th start tonight in the center of that offensive line. That left side plus the center, really outstanding.
Caldwell graduated in 3 years. And look at that Mississippi State defense. These guys came to play. This is the strength of this club. Dominique Douglas out of Clinton, Mississippi, who moved from weak side linebacker to the middle and has been their leading tackler. This guy is tough at only 227 pounds.
He absolutely is, and he gets better each week. You know, they lost their middle linebacker, Jamar Chaney, to a broken ankle the first game of the year against Louisiana Tech, and eventually, like you mentioned, had to move Douglas from outside to inside, and he just gets more and more comfortable. A career-high 15 tackles in the last game against Kentucky.
John Parker Wilson under pressure, guns it, has it tipped in the air, and it was Jesse Bowman, the right tackle, number 94, who got in there.
One thing you see with the Mississippi State defense is they are not intimidated by Alabama. And one thing I thought was interesting, Sylvester Croom said even though we're 3-6, he didn't have to sell to his team that they can win this game.
No.
Because they've won the last 2 years in a row. And they have enough confidence coming in here that they can play with Alabama.
Fitzgerald to punt. And certainly after a couple of defensive series like they've had early, it's got to reinforce that belief. Pegues disdains the fair catch, takes it out of bounds at the 42. 38-yard kick. And Mississippi State will have the ball when we come back. Mississippi State desperately needs to get something going on the ground. This offense hasn't been all that good under Sylvester Croom, now in his 5th year as the Mississippi State head coach. They're only 106th in the country on total offense. But this is a homecoming for Sly, a Tuscaloosa native. His father was a minister. His mother was a teacher there. One of the first 5 African-American players at Alabama, a longtime assistant coach. Slant caught first down at the Alabama 40. Kroom was a center, and not just any center. He was all SEC. He was named an All-American his senior year. Good enough that Bear Bryant, his mentor, wanted him on the staff. He stayed as the assistant coach a long, long time until he had an opportunity to go to the National Football League. He said his dad, Bear Bryant, and Bobby Ross are the three major influences in his football career. Dixon, and they're going to whistle this play dead. And boy, Dixon covered up. He saw that coming. He was about to be drilled by Brandon Dedrick.
Well, there was also an inside blitz by the linebackers.
Prior to the snap, ball start, offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty, it remains first down.
Craig Jenkins, the right guard move. When Sylvester Kroom arrived, stylish, by the way, he just took it all in.
Yeah. You know, and when he went in and changed, when he came out before the game, he has a big, thick hoodie on. I mean, he said, I'm not going to go for the style tonight. I'm going for warm. And he is going to be warm. Kind of like you, Coach.
No, yeah. First and 15. Check in with Reese Davis. Reese.
Hello, Mike. Taco Bell studio update.
Good lightning strike 2 years in a row. Wasn't ready for the snap. Goes right to the quarterback. Hit him in the gut and the ball's loose.
He was in the shotgun. And DJ Looney, I don't know if he thought he was under center or thought he heard a snap count, but I think he was coming up.
He was.
To change the play or to get under center. And whatever happened, Looney snapped the ball before he should have.
DJ Looney hit him right in the stomach with it.
See, look, he's in the shotgun. He's coming up to change the protection, and Looney heard a sound, heard a voice, and went ahead and snapped the football. A big mistake by the new center, DJ Looney.
Mississippi State is not going to get that many opportunities in Alabama territory tonight, and they can't squander them like that.
Tyson Lee was coming up to change protection or possibly change the play. And a misfire between the battery there, the center and the quarterback.
Alabama takes over at its own 47-yard line. John Parker Wilson has to take off and takes a hit as he gets into Mississippi State territory at the 48-yard line. They're still trying to figure out what would make Looney snap the ball.
Well, he obviously heard Tyson Lee's voice. And you know, again, he's a new center. He's got a lot on his plate. In rundowns, he's got a 375-pound guy lined up across from him in Terrence Cody. In pass situations, he's got a defense that loves to try to confuse an offensive line. He's trying to think through everything. And he just snapped when he heard his quarterback's voice.
Coffee. Well, the way you laid out the defense, I can understand now why he might have a missed snap. Tide rolling down to the 37-yard line of the Bulldogs.
Now, Alabama has been able to mix up their run going to both sides, and they move their tight ends who are very valuable in their running game. But when it gets down to it, when they need the yards, they're going to run left.
Coffee. A couple, maybe three. You pointed out in an earlier Alabama game that we had, I mean, after all, they are 23rd in the nation running the football. They're 100th passing.
Yeah.
They do much better in their passing game when they're throwing on first and second down when it's unexpected.
Right. Unexpected and off of play action. I mean, it really helps their whole offense, and that's where they get their big chunks of yardage in their passing game is off their play action. But they are first and foremost a running team. Outstanding offensive line. And the tight ends, again, are really kind of the unsung heroes of this offense. Travis McCall and Nick Walker, both guys really good blockers at the point of attack.
2nd and 6, two wide receivers. John Parker Wilson to Julio Jones underneath. His forward progress will give him a first down at about the 25-yard line. Jasper O'Quinn had one-on-one coverage with him and made the stop.
Julio Jones, Jim McElwain, offensive coordinator, says, you know, we just got to keep finding ways to get him the ball. I mean, he's obviously one of the difference makers on our offense. And they don't feel like they have a long list of difference maker type guys, but Julio is right at the top of that list. You see the last 3 games coming into tonight, 18 catches. They've really upped his production.
Back to the ground with Coffee. Goes to the left, bounces it outside. Look at that swarming maze of white shirts. Bowman led the charge as he slid down the line of scrimmage. Refused to be blocked, and there is a flag down on this play as well.
Charlie Harbison, the defensive coordinator. First year as the coordinator. 15 more yards against Alabama. But Charlie Harbison was one of 7 assistants of Sylvester Croom that was at one point either a player or an assistant coach here at Alabama.
Yard penalty. Big first down.
That's Drew Davis, the right tackle. Yeah, there are Alabama connections everywhere, aren't there?
They run deep. I mean, Charlie actually was here twice. He was the defensive back coach from 1998 to 2000, and then he was here from 2003 to 2006 as a wide receiver coach. And he also coached under Nick Saban for a couple years at LSU. Coached his defensive backs there for 2 years.
John Parker Wilson screen to Coffee. Coffee down to the 26. Of course, you could do worse than try to instill some of that Alabama history, pride, and intelligence into the Mississippi State program with those coaches.
Well, good pedigree there. Of course, Sylvester Croom, as you mentioned, his feelings about Bear Bryant and what he learned from him and all these guys that had their connections here. And one of the things Sylvester said, he learned how to win here at Alabama. As a player and coach, he learned first and foremost what it takes to win.
Second and long, and Mark Ingram gets his first opportunity to run the football for short yardage. And here's Holly.
These Mississippi State coaching ties do run deep through the state of Alabama. The offensive coordinator for the Bulldogs, Woody McCorvey, was also here for 7 or 8 years, and he said he actually got a nice phone message this week from Gene Stallings. Got home Thursday, had a message from him, so he called him back. These are a lot of connections. He said, you know, I used to come here, feel like I'm a little bit at home this week, just standing on the other side.
Well, if they happen to win again, they may not be welcome the next time. This would be 2 straight in Tuscaloosa if they could pull it off. Third and long for John Parker Wilson. 4-man rush, good protection. Throws over the middle. That's going to be well shy of a first down at the 19. Good coverage by Dominique Douglas, who has been everywhere so far. That time he covered Ingram in the middle.
That was really good downfield coverage by the Bulldogs because John Parker Wilson, that was not his intended receiver. That was an outlet dump-off throw, but he had nowhere to go with the football down the field and had to settle for the underneath throw, and Mississippi State forces a field goal attempt.
Lee Tiffin, who has only hit 65% of his field goal tries this year, will attempt one from 35 yards, slight angle, and knocks it straight through. So a block punt for a safety, and the 35-yard field goal has the favorite Crimson Tide on top by 5.
I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of a little trick play here on the kickoff from Alabama. Saban was in the huddle with his kickoff team for a long time before they came out onto the field here.
Kicked away, Pegues with a running start at the 5. Hammered, the ball's out. Mississippi State got it back. Pegues was just drilled.
Yes, he was.
Arnil Stallworth, the backup or the starting fullback, is a really good pass receiver, was the guy who ended up getting the ball after Marquise Johnson knocked it out.
Well, maybe that's what he was in the huddle saying. If we get this guy wrapped up, we might be able to knock the ball loose. Mississippi State must take care of the football. They cannot be careless with the football and hope to have a chance here against Alabama.
Lee under pressure, throws. That was dangerous. He's out in the flat, and that could have easily been picked off by Kareem Jackson. Here's Reese.
Mike, it didn't take USC long.
They do have some ridiculously good athletes out there, don't they? There isn't a team in the world that looks better in a football uniform than those guys. Pressure coming. They'll blow this dead. Sherrod may have moved early.
Prior to the snap, ball starts. Offense number 79. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
It is Sherrod, and here's Holly.
Well, guys, J.B. Grimes, the offensive line coach, just pulled his guy aside after that last problem with the center and the quarterback exchange. Well, DJ Looney and Tyson Lee talked to each other, and then Grimes said, look, we got to cut this out. Quit trying to change all the protections. Don't worry about the protections. Just know who's hot, meaning who your hot receiver is. Guys, these 5 guys haven't played together in a game yet this year, so a lot of miscommunication on the offensive line right now.
All right, Holly, thanks. Lee in the shotgun, high snap, under pressure, little shovel pass. Dixon getting some positive yardage out of this. Yes, he did. Well, he's 240.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking. If you're going to have a big tailback in there, you want him to move it.
Yeah, an interesting statistic about this Mississippi State offense. I mean, their numbers are poor. I mean, and they have been for the last 5 years. But in the case of Anthony Dixon, in his 3 seasons, they are 9-3 when he gets 20 carries or more. I would suggest giving him the football 20 times or more tonight.
And that would accomplish a lot of things. Well, he nearly lost that handoff. That ball was high up on his chest, and that's up to the quarterback. He's got to get that ball in the running back's tummy. McClain made the tackle.
Well, it's kind of a zone read play where the quarterback has to make a decision whether to pull it and keep it himself or keep it in the belly of the running back, but it's got to be in the belly, not in the chest.
McAdams to punt. Javier Arenas is back. They want these kicks to go outside the numbers so Arenas doesn't burn them. This one is not. He's got it at the 22. Brought down as he crossed the 35. Let's take a look at our All-State Good Hands flashback. The last time Alabama lost in the regular season as number 1 was all the way back in 1980. Tied 3-3 late in the 4th quarter. Dana Moore's 22-yard field goal put the Bulldogs up by 3. Alabama marched down to the 2-yard line, but Tyrone Keys hit quarterback Don Jacobs. It forced the fumble. Mississippi recovered and ended Alabama's 28-game win streak and their hopes of an unprecedented 3rd straight national championship. And Sylvester Croom was the starting center on that ball club. John Parker Wilson in trouble. Mississippi State has really gotten a good pass rush against the senior quarterback. And Charlie Burns got in there and wrapped him up. We played a full quarter at Tuscaloosa. It's Alabama 5-0. Welcome back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. There used to be a time in college football when it was a given. Team A played Team B, Team A won, and that was it. If you take it out to at least 90 meetings, Nebraska beat Iowa State 83.5% of the time. That's virtually always. This is the 4th highest percentage, team versus team. Alabama over Mississippi State, but keep in mind that Mississippi State has won the last 2.
They've won the last 2, and they've won 6 of the last 12. So, I mean, the fact is, yes, Alabama has clearly dominated this series, but this does not look like a team that doesn't believe they deserve to be on the field with Alabama. Defensively right now, Mississippi State is playing very stout against the Crimson Tide.
Times have changed. The talent has been spread around to a lot of different places. Third down for John Parker Wilson, 3-man rush. They still get there. He wanted to set up some kind of a screen, but there weren't any blockers in front of Mark Ingram. They defensed that very, very well.
I think they confused John Parker Wilson that time. They showed like they were going to bring some extra pressure, ended up only with the 3-man rush, dropped 8, and kind of a look of confusion on the face of the senior quarterback.
Tim Bailey, the Iraq War veteran, getting some pressure, number 39. And the Geese will await the punt back near his 30 from P.J. Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald having a good year, averaging almost 42 yards a punt. The Geese hit his tracks.
How about Rashad Johnson?
He is something. He is a playmaker, a 2-yard loss. There's some guys who just know how to play football, and he's one of them. He is not a big guy, but he is cut. November of 2006 in the second quarter between these two teams, Quentin Culverson intercepted John Parker Wilson, returned it 51 yards for a touchdown. Mississippi State won by 8 last year. Alabama leading 9-3 in the second quarter. Lightning strikes again. Anthony Johnson picks off John Parker Wilson. He takes it back 100 yards for a touchdown and another Bulldog victory. And they're going to need those kind of breaks tonight in order to succeed. End around, nothing doing.
You know, one of the problems for Mississippi State this year, they obviously got off to a poor start, losing their opening game at Louisiana Tech 22-14. They had 5 turnovers in that game, but the guy we saw making that interception, Anthony Johnson, no longer on the team. One of 5 guys.
Yeah. Some
key contributors that Sylvester Croom removed from the football team for disciplinary reason. Then they lost some guys due to injury, and a lot of the expectations they had of building off of their success from a year ago really kind of went by the wayside this year.
Lee has to call a timeout and make no mistake about it at all. Sylvester Croom is trying to build this program the right way, not the expedient way, not the way it used to be done at Mississippi State that got him in so much trouble. The right.
Too.
Boy, Reese Vandy was one of those great feel-good stories at the start of the year. Now they've reached desperation time. So's Mississippi State's offense. They got to get something going. Lee with good protection this time goes underneath. Dixon gets up to about the 28-yard line. Of course, this game means so much to Alabama. They would remain undefeated, one regular season game to go against their arch rival Auburn. They already have a spot in the SEC championship game. For Mississippi State, it would help save their season. They would go to 4-6, still have a chance to be bowl eligible, and a huge banner to run up the flagpole.
You beat the #1 team in the country, I guarantee you can turn your season around.
Pressure coming. Stallworth out in the flat. Wide open. Stallworth still on his feet. Midfield down to the 40. Stallworth coming off a game against Kentucky where he caught a career-high 8 passes. When he's in the ballgame, that Alabama defense better be looking for number 30.
Yeah, well, I think he fooled the defense because Stallworth is coming out of the backfield, and there's pressure coming in here from Alabama, and nobody accounted for the fullback. They expected him to stay in the block. Tyson Lee does a nice job of finding his hot receiver. Remember what Holly said about J.B. Grimes? Forget about changing protection. Just know who your hot receiver was.
Dixon has that big body leaning forward. He picks up 4 to the Alabama 36. Rolando McClain, the middle linebacker, made the stop. McClain just dramatically improved from a year ago, and he's only a sophomore now. Just a tremendous talent.
You know, the interesting thing, I mean, all the coaches talk about how smart he is, that he's almost off the charts intelligence in terms of football and watching film and understanding and recognizing. Fundamentally, he still has work to do, but mentally, he is way ahead of the curve.
He was a freshman All-American. 4-man rush. Lee hangs in a pocket, nearly had it picked. Somehow it got through to Brandon McCray.
Well, Rashad Johnson, who has been the big play guy for this defense the last few weeks, thought he had another pick six.
Yes, he did.
Right in front of him. He's had a pick six the last 2 weeks in a row. He read the quarterback. He timed it. He just didn't come up with the football. He was in the right place at the right time, but didn't get the result he was looking for.
Boy, he was licking his chops. Had 70 yards of green in front of him. Lee is now 6 out of 8 for 79 yards. But they try to get Stallworth outside, and Corey Reamer is saying nothing doing.
When I watched Tyson Lee on tape, I was impressed with him. I think he can throw the football. Now, he's not very big. He's listed at 5'11", but seeing him down on the field, I think he might be a shade under that, which means you got to kind of move him around and help him to find some good throwing lanes, but he can really throw it. He's accurate, 62% completion coming into the game in the SEC. That's good.
2nd and 12. Mississippi State's best drive. Lee flushed out of the pocket, has room to run, throws instead. Touchdown! That looked like a push-off by Jamel Smith. It looked like he got away with one in the end zone, and then the ball just hit him in the chest.
Well, Jamel Smith was open right away, but because Tyson Lee had to scramble out of the pocket, he wasn't able to throw on time. If he would have been able to just drop and throw, it would have been an easy touchdown.
Pass interference on the defense. Number 26. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
And this is not reviewable.
No.
How could they call this on the defense?
See, he was open. Well, the reason they can call it is because Sharif made contact before he turned to find the football. He put his hands out and hit the receiver.
And when you see the replay, there wasn't much of a push-off either. It looked like it in real time. But the point after is good. And guess what? Mississippi State at 3-6 has taken the lead over number 1 Alabama. Check the flag on the play. That was a 78-yard drive.
Prior to the snap, full start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Replay the try.
Remember, you've got a new snapper in there, Anthony Bowles, who has already had a high snap on a punt. He's going to be snapping for everything tonight because of the injury to Aaron Feld. So they'll back him up 5 for Adam Carlson. High snap. They got it down, and it's blocked.
Well, I think they stopped the play again before this was snapped. Now, this is a problem. In Mississippi State's last ball game, they lost to Kentucky 14-13. They had an extra point block that would have tied the score. And then they missed a 27-yard field goal that would have won the game for them. And you can't kick poorly and win.
False start. Offense number 75. 5-yard penalty. Replay the try.
That's Craig Jenkins. He has been flagged before. And if you're a lip reader, he's saying, what the heck's going on out there?
He is. I don't know what it is. I mean, unless this center has a little different routine before he actually snaps the ball, but just hold your water. My goodness, it's an extra point. Now it's a field goal.
Another poor snap that the holder, Blake McAdams, had to reach almost behind him to get it and put it down, but they executed it this time. And Mississippi State has the lead. Some of the images of tonight's game so far. And pretty good ball game, too, as Mississippi State has taken a 2-point lead over undefeated and number 1 Alabama.
They're not intimidated. I mean, their defense from the very beginning, not intimidated. And as you look at Alabama, they found themselves in some adverse situations last week on the road in Baton Rouge, and they have not trailed much at all this football season.
No, they haven't. They got away with it last week.
Kicking away from Arenas.
Pooch kick to McCoy. And no matter what McCoy does, I think they're going to be just very happy that Arenas doesn't have it.
Let's go back to the Mississippi State touchdown. Ali Sharif is in the slot right here. Now, Jamale Smith is going to run the post, and for whatever reason, it looks like Sharif gets confused. Instead of running with him, he hesitates, and then he says, whoops, I'm supposed to be with him, tries to catch up, and draws the interference penalty at the end of the play. But he was beat right away, and Tyson Lee just not able to throw it right away because he had to move out of the pocket. But Ali Sharif was confused on that coverage.
Coffee back in the tailback. John Parker Wilson takes it to him. Excuse me, then throws complete to Hanks. Let's check in with Reese.
Current with ESPN News.
John Parker Wilson again. Got the first down.
Mississippi State is doing a pretty good job, number one, of getting some pressure on Wilson and also of covering downfield. They were trying to go play action and go deep for a big chunky yardage. Not there for John Parker Wilson, and you see the good decision right here. Get what you can get and get out of bounds. Save your body, get a first down, get your team back in good field position.
Good enough for a first down at the 48-yard line. Moving up front, it looks like the left guard leaned forward, Mike Johnston.
Yeah, we've seen this happen to Mississippi State a couple times already with their offensive line, a little early movement.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 78, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Todd, what happens if you've got a signal count on the first sound and then the quarterback wants to try to change the play? It can be confusing.
If it's on the first sound, you better not try to change it, or you're asking for trouble. Usually a play called on the first sound, you just run it no matter what. You know, stick with it.
1st and 15. Coffee on the draw. Here's Holly.
Well, guys, as you mentioned, going into last week's game, Alabama had only trailed for 1 minute and 15 seconds all season. We talked to the coaching staff and the players about, what did you guys learn about yourself? And they basically said that there was no panic in this team. They found themselves behind in much of that game last week against LSU or tied. John Parker Wilson said, I was really pleased with how controlled we were. We just went about our business. We didn't screw things up. And offensive coordinator also, McElwain, said, hey, I saw no panic in this offense. That was impressive.
And in a very hostile situation, of course. This one is underneath the Walker, the big tight end, down to the 40-yard line. That's it.
One thing that we really haven't mentioned that I think is worth mentioning, and that is the fact that we talked about the game, a hostile environment last week, a physical game. I mean, LSU played a good football game, and it was an overtime game, 27-21. Mississippi State was off last week. I mean, so the difference in which team is fresher right now to start this game should clearly be Mississippi State. And they're playing that way. And not that Alabama's playing poorly, but they did have a very physical game a week ago in Baton Rouge, and Mississippi State was off.
3rd and a long 3. Blitz coming.
Ball's loose.
John Parker Wilson hit from behind. The ball came loose. No signal yet. Now they say Alabama has it. It will be 4th down, but Marcus Washington, number 18, came on a corner blitz, and John Parker Wilson never saw him.
Well, here he is right here, and he's just going to come right around the outside. He's inside as a corner. There was a tight end. There was no wide receiver outside, so he's able to kind of get inside. Came on the corner blitz to the backside of the quarterback. Big play.
Fitzgerald. And they'll kill the ball inside the 5 again. Just tremendous coverage by Johnson. Boy, this guy is such a valuable member of this ball club. Now let's take a look at tonight's trivia question. Since the AP poll began in 1936, how many college football coaches have won a national championship with 2 different schools?
Well, right now, Tyson Lee has got to be very smart. His defense is playing great. The last time they were backed up like this, they got a little bit of room out of there to kick the football. Of course, it got blocked, and they gave up the safety. But right now, you got to be smart with the football and try to move it the best you can. Give your punter a chance if you end up having to kick the football again.
Now they're going to reset the clock. That's what happens when you see the official that motion toward the sky. Crowd urging on the defense. Dixon. Boy, got to the 4 and then was just thrown back.
Rolando McClain.
He's good, isn't he?
He is, and he's big. I mean, he's 250 pounds as a middle linebacker. So you think, wow, 240-pound tailback, he should be able to make some people move, but not when the middle linebacker's 250. There was an inside blitz by the 2 linebackers. He's waiting right in the hole for the big back, and he ends up driving him backwards.
McClain won the leverage battle and took advantage of it. It's a gain of a yard. Clock running, 6:03 to go. First half. An amazing first half. Lee under pressure. Got rid of it incomplete. Threw it behind Brandon McCray, the intended receiver.
Did a nice job of stepping up in the pocket. I thought he was going to get sacked by Brandon Dedrick, who was really beating down on him. And he was able to step up and get rid of the football.
That's Bowles working on those deep snaps. Remember, a penalty committed in the end zone, such as a hold, is an automatic safety. And if that happens, you'd have 2 safeties and a field goal and a 7-7 tie. Movement up front again. Both sides pointing at each other. Alabama calls a timeout at 7-5 Bulldogs.
He only has to finish 36 to win. But, you know, in football, sometimes when you play not to lose instead of playing to win, that can be a bad thing, a dangerous thing. I don't know if that's the same thing in NASCAR or not.
It'd be pretty tough not to finish 36, doesn't it?
I would think.
Lee from the end zone. Incomplete. Yes, he did.
He had the fullback. Eric Hoskins was the intended receiver, running down the middle of the Alabama defense. That would have given them room and a first down, just not able to connect. Fullback out of the backfield. That's twice now that the Alabama defense has not properly accounted for the fullback out of the backfield.
You're right.
They hit him once, and that time they missed him.
The pressure on Bowles, the snapper. Good snap this time to McAdams, and McAdams gets it out of there.
Right where they wanted it, on the outside of the numbers.
Arenas somehow stayed in bounds. Here we go. Javier Arenas inside the 5. Well, they kicked it right where they wanted to kick it, and he burned them anyway.
They kicked it in the right spot, but not with the right height. They wanted it to be high, and then on that outside spot. It was in the right place, but so low that Arenas was able to make one guy miss and then build a head of steam.
A 43-yard punt, but a 46-yard return.
McAdams
is a game changer.
Yeah. McAdams is so concerned about just getting the kick off out of his own end zone, not able to get enough height, and Arenas, who has done it all year, sets up his offense again.
Now they may go back and review this to make sure that he stayed in bounds. That replay certainly looked like there wasn't anything to question. And a great job of tap dancing by Arenas to stay there. And Sylvester Croom, is he challenging the call? He is. So somebody upstairs thought they saw something. Nope.
Well, tap
And
dancing.
the official had a great spot on it too.
I thought that Kevin Steele's description of Javier Arenas was one of the most unique descriptions I've ever heard. When I asked about him, because he's such a dynamic player, a high-energy player, he said he's a rolling ball of butcher knives.
That's right. Which is a great mental picture, isn't it?
It is. Plays with great fire and passion. Gets very angry with himself on the field when he makes a mistake.
Well, we're getting some information. They're challenging something at the end of the run. Let's see. Stepped out of bounds at the 5. So the ball currently marked at the 3.
Yeah.
So they're going to move Alabama back, you would think, a couple of yards. Of course, the whole play is available to be reviewed once you challenge any aspect of it.
Interesting, when these two teams played last year, it was a play right at the end of the first half.
After review, ruling on the field stands as called. First down.
Well, the only thing they can say is his foot may have been out of bounds to 5, but he was diving forward and the ball was to 3. I'm not saying that's what they're saying. I'm saying, you know, from the way I'm looking at it, it's the only thing he can say. They lose the challenge.
Yeah, and then really the only difference was going to be 2 yards, regardless, from the 5 or the 3. I was saying at the end of the first half last year in the ball game over in Starkville, it was an interception off of John Parker Wilson, return for a touchdown that turned that game from a 9-3 Alabama lead, and on the 1-yard line getting ready to go in, to a 10-9 Mississippi State lead to go into halftime. Now with 5:29 left in the first half here, a big punt return by Javier Arenas, a chance to turn this game in Alabama's favor again.
And a charge timeout to Mississippi State. Coffee straight ahead. Stopped shy of the goal line. Boy, it's hard running behind the left side of the line to deny these guys in short yardage situations. I mean, we've seen it all year. They just move people out of there. Now they'll go with 3 tight ends and a fullback.
John Parker Wilson, a quarterback sneak to win the game last week against LSU. Here he goes again.
And John Parker Wilson is lying in the end zone. They finally signal touchdown. And some pushing and shoving afterward. So Alabama takes advantage of the brilliant punt return, and John Parker Wilson sneaks over from inside the 1. And undefeated Alabama has regained the lead. Tiffin for the point after. And with 4:47 to go in the first half, Alabama regains the lead. They're up over Mississippi State, 12-7 here in Tuscaloosa. Welcome back to Tuscaloosa. We want to give you the answer to tonight's trivia question. Since the AP poll began in 1936, how many college football coaches have won a national championship with 2 different schools? And if you feel really bad about this, I feel bad with you. None. Two coaches accomplished defeat prior to 1936. Pop Warner at Pitt and Stanford, Howard Jones at Yale and USC. And if you were all 105 or so, you may have known that.
Little trick question by Richie Camella tonight.
You think the Duck came up with that one? And we are told one of the officials is a little bit banged up. Certainly hope he's all right.
Looks like we have a new line judge coming in. Replacement.
Julian Mapp is the alternate official for tonight. The line judge, Paul Patrisco, is apparently going to be missing in action. We'll see if we can get a report on what happened to Paul, and certainly wish him the best. So Alabama's regained the lead with 4:47 to go in the half. Tiffin is going to kick it away to Pegues, who is setting just about every kick return record there is in Mississippi State history, but for the most part because he's had more opportunities than anybody else. Pegues from the 8. Has the seam, 30. Beat Tiffin out across to 40, and then takes a late hit right in front of the Alabama bench. A return of 39 yards. Let's play Did You Know? The history of how the houndstooth hat found its way to the head of Bear Bryant. After Joe Namath's senior year at Alabama, he was signed by Sonny Werblin, the owner of the New York Jets, who were then in the American Football League. Bryant had talked with Werblin and head coach Weave Eubank and believed they would treat Namath right and advised him to go there. In turn, Werblin sent Bryant a houndstooth hat from New York. He liked it, and periodically, Sonny would send him another as a token of appreciation for guiding Namath the Jets' way instead of the NFL. And that's how the houndstooth hat made it in here. Lee on a scramble.
There's a case where you see the height of Tyson Lee a bit of a problem. He lost vision downfield. Now, he made a good decision to scramble, but at a certain point, he couldn't see over the lineman in there and had to take off. Tyson Lee, again, is listed at 5'11". I think he's probably closer to 5'9 and a half, 5'10". Does the right thing. You know, don't hold on to the ball too long. Get what you can get up the field and play second down. Now they've got him in the shotgun, which helps the shorter quarterback as well.
And Dixon will carry it out of that formation. Tyson Lee is a kid who wanted to come to Mississippi State out of high school and again out of junior college. As a junior quarterback, he grew up in Columbus, Mississippi, a really good baseball player. Went to Itawamba Community College, and he told us on the phone the other day he wants to be a teacher or a coach and change people's lives for the better. We need more kids like Tyson Lee.
Last year, great job in junior college.
Dixon. Well, he was the third-ranked junior college quarterback in the country. They still didn't offer him a scholarship. He walked on and finally got it and said that was one of the great days in his life. Holly?
Well, Mike, you're right. He said, I had a dream and a vision that I would be a Division I SEC starting quarterback. Well, the odds are all stacked against him. He's small. Nobody was interested in him. So he proved himself. Guys, nobody wanted him. They said, well, maybe you can walk on. By the end of spring after he walked on, he'd already earned a scholarship. This is a kid who's been told no at every corner. He just wouldn't listen to it. Now he's the starter.
And they're delighted that he wouldn't listen. Lee fakes one way, screen back the other. Dixon shakes a tackler. He's got a first down to the 30. Tough run, and what a play by Tyson Lee to throw it sidearm to get the completion.
I'm impressed with the resiliency of this Mississippi State team. They are not intimidated. Tyson Lee, you got to create throwing lanes for yourself sometimes. Sidearm, underhand, between defenders' arms. He knew where he wanted to go. He just had to create a throwing lane for himself.
You know, there have been a lot of guys who started in college and started in the pros because they had big arms. They didn't have heart. They didn't have the competitiveness and the way to play that a kid like Tyson Lee does. Pump fake. Tipped and incomplete.
Almost tipped and intercepted.
That thing was up for grabs a long time.
That's been a specialty of this Alabama defense. When that ball gets tipped up in the air, the Crimson Tide typically comes down with it. 15 interceptions on the season. Tyson Lee flushed out of the pocket. McClain knocked it up in the air, and then going for the football. He and Bobby Greenwood both going for the football.
Was intended for Nelson Hurst. Now Cody had a shot at it. That would have been interesting. Pressure coming. Lee retreats, scrambles. Down the sideline, steps out of bounds after he got everything he could out of it. Here's Reese.
Mike, coming up on the Pontiac Performance.
All right, Reese. Thank you. Tyson Lee, 8 out of 13, 121 yards and the touchdown in the first half.
Right now, he's got to be thinking, get some of this yardage back to give us a legitimate field goal try. Got an offside penalty, free play here.
Alabama was offside. That ball was tipped up in the air. This will make it 3rd and about a yard. Unless they call it against Mississippi State.
Prior to the snap, play of game. The offense, number 16, 5-yard penalty.
So
Third down.
it would have made it 3rd and 11, excuse me. And McClain signals that he wants to come out of the ballgame.
Well, he got cut a couple plays ago before this, chasing down a play and didn't see the offensive lineman, and he needs to come out of the game. Here's the play. Watch McClain chasing, and he's going to get cut by Craig Jenkins on his left leg. And he got up a little gimpy after that play.
Mississippi State spreads the field.
There's that disguise look, and they all drop out. 3-man rush.
Lee throws underneath, incomplete. Had Dixon coming out of the backfield. That wouldn't have gotten much at all.
We talk about this Alabama defense and the difference from year 1 to year 2. They are so much more in sync, and they're able to do so much more because everybody understands. It's a lot of complexity to their pass defense, particularly on 3rd down. And that time they show blitz, they drop out of there with 8 and only rush 3, and it really creates confusion for a quarterback, especially a young quarterback like Tyson Lee.
So 4th and very long, McAdams will have to kick to Arenas. Booms this one, and they'll down it inside the 15-yard line. Punt of only 20.
Well, what he doesn't do well.
Coffee. And right now it looks like Alabama will be content to go to the locker room with a 5-point lead.
Last week it was tied up 14 apiece in Baton Rouge at halftime.
But that was against LSU in Baton Rouge. This is Mississippi State in Tuscaloosa.
Well, the interesting thing about Alabama is in terms of SEC games here at home, recently they've had some close tussles. I mean, Ole Miss, they beat 24-20. Kentucky, it was 17-14 here. They've actually been more impressive on the road than they've been at home this season.
Mississippi State has won the last 2 in the series. And at halftime here, they are within 5 points of the #1 undefeated Alabama Crimson Tide. That is some showing for the Bulldogs of Sylvester Croom in the first half.
you evaluate your team's performance in that first half?
Well, we didn't play very well. We didn't play very well on offense. We're not blocking them up front. We're not running the ball very well. We made some critical mistakes on defense, which gave them 2 big plays in their scoring drive. So playing good on special teams, and that's the difference in the game between a block punt and a punt return. So, you know, we need to play a lot better in the second half.
How do you do that? What do you have to change?
Well, we just got to execute better. You know, we got to block them better up front. We got to execute better. We got some people open in the passing game, and we don't have enough time to get them the ball, so we got to block them better up front.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Our halftime score, Alabama, #1 in the country, leading Sylvester Croom in Mississippi State 12-7. We are in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where Mississippi State is taking it to #1. They're down 12-7 at the half. They have outgained Alabama 134 yards to 110, and Nick Saban was absolutely correct. Special teams is the thing that has saved the wagon for #1 so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 46-yard punt return by Javier Arenas really the difference in the ball game, and that was one of the keys for Mississippi State. They had to cover Arenas.
Pegues will get a shot to return the kick. Bounces off of him. Picked up by Stallworth, the fullback. And he's buried at the 14-yard line. Special teams again comes into play. That said, tremendous first-half performance by Mississippi State. Again, the team that didn't have a chance.
Well, they came in there, they believed. You know, Sylvester Croom told us he didn't have to sell his team on their ability to win this game. And I think defensively, from the very outset, they were not intimidated. They came out, they played toe-to-toe with this Alabama offense. They were able to play against this Alabama offensive line. Offensively, it's still a struggle for them. And the field position, like they're starting with again here to start the second half, does not help Tyson Lee in the offense. They need some help with field position.
Got maybe a yard here on the first running play of the half. Here's Holly.
Well, guys, Sylvester Croom at the half was lamenting the kicking game. He said the kicking game is killing us. He said, I know we've got a new snapper in there. I know it's his first time, but he's just got to do a better job. I said, well, what did you say to him? He said, there's not much I can say. I just told him I love him, and you got to go out there and snap better in the second half. 2 quick injury updates, guys. Dixon has a heavily wrapped left hamstring. You can see him out there right now. And for Alabama, Rolando McClain, he has got an injured right wrist.
But they're both in there. Lee under pressure. Somehow got away. Now keep it on the ground, and Lee spins across the 20 to about the 23-yard line.
Well, a pretty gutsy play by
Yes,
Tyson
sir.
Lee. Flag towards the end of the play. Really, that was Terrence Cody, I think, that forced Tyson Lee to leave the pocket initially. Great push on the inside.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 62 to defense, 15 yards from the end of the run, automatic first down.
That is Mount Cody.
I actually thought he was going to get called for a hands to the face on the rush. He got great penetration. Watch Cody right in here. Gets in there. The hand in the face didn't get called, but now as he's chasing the quarterback after the play, just turns and gives a shot right there to Brignoni, number 70, and that's what drew the personal foul.
Absolutely no reason to do it, and that cost him 15 yards. That's the kind of break Mississippi State is going to need to stay in this ballgame. Dixon will pick up maybe 2 to the 40. This offense is not made to get big plays.
No.
That's a 15-yard game.
Yeah.
They're not going to get many 15-yard runs. They're not going to get many 15-yard throws.
Well, coming into this game, in terms of plays over 20 yards, they were the second fewest in the FBS. Vanderbilt, only 52. Mississippi State, 57 plays of 20 yards or more. It's a struggle offensively.
Lee, they want to screen, and it's just as well that it was dropped because Bobby Greenwood was right in the face of Arnell Stallworth, the fullback. Yes, it is cold on a Saturday night in Alabama. 3rd and 8. Lee has only hit 1 of his last 6 after a hot start. Blitz coming. And Lee goes down. McClain, the middle linebacker, came through and got the sack, his 2nd of the year.
Well, here's McClain right here. He's coming. Woodall, the safety's coming up in here. They felt it was time to bring some pressure, get after the quarterback. They picked up Woodall, but they did not get McClain. Playing with that injured wrist. Gets in there unblocked and chases down the quarterback.
10 tackles for the sophomore linebacker.
Middle of the field to Arenas, not where you want to kick it.
Arenas has a seam. Goodbye. Sylvester Croom said we have to kick it outside the numbers. We can't let Arenas beat us. Well, he just did.
He kicked it right down the middle of the field.
So Arenas has had an 80-yard return for a touchdown. It's a new school record, his 5th in his career. He had another long one that got down to the 2. So special teams set up 2 touchdowns. They contributed with a block punt for a safety. They've scored 16 of the 19 points.
Sylvester Croom just has to be beside himself. I mean, he knew coming in, Javier Arenas, if you don't handle him correctly, can beat you. And 2 very poor punts that allowed him to make a difference in the game.
Pegues runs into the wall, dives forward to the 24. Chris Jordan, the linebacker, with a big hit.
Let's go back to the punt return. First of all, it was in the wrong spot, middle of the field. But watch Alabama set up the wall. Right here, as Arenas gets to it, a great block right here by Chris Rogers. Another great block by Tyrone King. And Arenas is able to run right down there through the seam all the way to the goal line. The kick was in the wrong spot, and Alabama made him pay for it. Arenas' running ability and excellent execution on the blocking. It's Reed Stringer, the special teams coach. That's the punter. He's got to kick that thing to the side, high into the sidelines, not in the middle.
Play clock was about to expire, and Mississippi State
Wesley
has to burn
Carroll's
a
in, too.
timeout. Check in with Reese. 42. All right, Reese, we've got a quarterback change here for Mississippi State. Wesley Carroll, who started the first 4 ball games out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He is a more mobile quarterback. He does not throw as well as Tyson Lee. And let's see what Wesley Carroll can do on offense.
And he actually played pretty well for him last year when he played as a freshman. And did some nice things, helped lead the team to 8 wins. And during the offseason, one of the things they did is the coaches went to Michigan to meet with the Michigan staff. They had played West Virginia the last 2 years, was very impressed with some of the option stuff they did, and they put a package into their offense that was geared for Wesley Carroll and more of the option game. Let's see if they try to go to that in this offensive set.
Here it is, the option read, and Carroll will take it up near the 30. And let's check in with Holly.
Well, just before the game, I was down on the field talking to offensive coordinator for Mississippi State, Woody McCorvey, and I said, you know, you started Wes Carroll the first few games. How has he responded to being benched? He said, to his credit, this kid has never sulked. He's been very vocal. He's the most vocal quarterback in our quarterback meetings. He has stayed alive and stayed a leader on this team. He said, hopefully we'll see him tonight, and true to his word, here he is.
One of the reasons he was benched is he tried to do more probably than he should. He had 3 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions. Christian Dupree getting a chance, and Dupree is probably going to be the tailback of choice, not only because Dixon has the bad leg right now, but because he fits this option style a little better as well.
Well, I would expect option here. 3rd down and 3, a long 3. Kind of a run pass down, but with Carroll in the game, I got to believe Alabama's thinking option here more than a pass.
Alabama shows blitz late, and they just stuff the line of scrimmage. Carroll makes the decision to hand it off to Stallworth, and he never had a chance. And McClain has always found himself in the middle of it. And the Alabama fans with a standing ovation for the defense. There's that man again, Arenas, retreating to his own 30. What are the odds this kick will be outside the numbers?
I'd shank it if I have to.
Just at the edge of the numbers, and Arenas swarmed over. 19-7, Alabama with the lead. The Crimson Tide will take over in its own territory with 10:04 to go 3rd quarter.
Alabama offense has been very pedestrian tonight. They're being outgained by Mississippi State. They've not had a play over 12 yards in the ballgame tonight.
Mississippi State crowds the line of scrimmage. John Parker Wilson steps up to throw deep down the middle. McCoy, and he dropped it. Perfect throw from John Parker Wilson, and McCoy simply let it go through his hands.
Well, they were trying to end that big play drought, going for play action on 1st down. That's where you can get big plays, and they had him. And that's just McCoy not able to concentrate all the way to the end. Zach Smith was there late, but that was an easy throw and catch for Alabama. Weren't able to connect.
And if you're John Parker Wilson, that's all he can do. Just hang your head and go, oh, boy. And he'll keep it and get out to the 30. Now it's time to see what's on the menu in just a minute. And you know what Todd always says, breakfast is the 2 most important meals of the day. John Parker Wilson on 3rd and long, throws, and he's got the 1st down. Let's see what was on the menu. Screen dropped by Jones. Could anything be better than slap me down silly good?
I don't think so. No, that's pretty good. That's a 2 thumbs up. Slap you down silly good. Those biscuits were phenomenal.
Oh, they look good.
You know, the thing is crazy because the more I ate, the better they got. And it was hard to stop.
They must have gotten really
bringing
good,
out warm ones and fresh ones, and it was, I couldn't keep up. I tried, but I couldn't keep up.
I'll bet you tried.
Yeah, I tried.
You can check out the complete menu by going to our website at ESPN.com. Search Taste of the Town. Todd has promised me on the day he hits 400 pounds, he'll call me at home and let me know. Do you know, have you ever described to the folks what grits are?
No.
Or do you know what grits are?
No, I like them, but I don't really know exactly what they are.
Okay.
I went for a good run this morning around the Alabama campus early this morning.
Here's what you're going to look like from behind. And he works out every day. Of course, in his defense, he started at 410. John Parker Wilson overthrows Coffee.
Dominique Douglas went for a big hit on that play.
Could have had the ball.
He might have been able to get an interception. He was so intent on hitting Glenn Coffee that I don't know that he really knew where the ball was.
You know, you look at the numbers on Mississippi State. They're number 67 against the run, number 2 against the pass, number 19 overall. If they had a better offense, think how good those numbers could be. This is an elite defense.
Yeah, they are. They're outstanding.
Fitzgerald to kick to Pegues. Beautiful kick. Fair catch made it to 16 after a punt of 42.
Well, the difference for Alabama tonight has not necessarily been their offense or defense, but their special teams. It started out with the punt block by Kareem Jackson for the safety. And then a couple times, Rashad Johnson, the first guy down, has done a nice job downing. And Javier Arenas, he had a 46-yard return that set up a touchdown. And then he had an 80-yard return later on that went for a touchdown. It's been all special teams for Alabama. As good as the Mississippi State defense has played, they have been torched on special teams.
Boy, they sure have. Lee is back in at quarterback, and he wants to go deep. Had a man, double coverage, incomplete. It was intended for Jamiles Smith. Rashad Johnson and Kareem Jackson were back there.
Jamiles Smith only 13 receptions coming into the game. He was their leading receiver a year ago. Now he beats the corner Jackson, but there's Rashad Johnson, who I'll tell you what, between he and Rolando McClain, they are two very, very smart players that are the kind of the quarterbacks together of this Alabama defense.
Out in the flat, absolutely nothing. Rashad Johnson, by the way, walked on at Alabama. He was not offered a scholarship. Really wasn't a big kid. Right now, even with all the work he's done in the weight room, he's only 186 pounds. I mean, it's a solid 186. He's out of Sulligton, Alabama. But he wasn't offered a scholarship till after his first year. And boy, has he earned out.
And now he's gone from not only being a walk-on to a guy that NFL scouts are starting to pay attention to, because he's a guy who is now making big-time plays at crucial situations of football games. And we've seen some tonight from him.
Third and long for Mississippi State. Tipped and incomplete. It falls at the feet of Johnson. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, guys, as you mentioned, Rashad Johnson told us he wasn't recruited by a single Division I team. That's why he had to walk on. But the way he's made himself a good player, first of all, he earned a scholarship by playing on every single special teams. His tackling ability caught Mike Shula's eye. Then what he's done is made himself into a smarter player. They said he's the smartest guy in their secondary because he watches film. Coach Kevin Steele, their defensive coordinator, told us last week that on a play last week at LSU, he immediately, as soon as they lined up, recognized the play. He ran to the freshman linebacker and said, play the screen. Don't be fooled by this formation. Then ran back to his position, and sure enough, he was right. Because of the film study, he's made himself the player he is.
Holly, I shook hands with him the other day. I patted him on the shoulder. I thought he was wearing a suit of armor under his jersey because he was so solid. Ali Sharif was the injured player. Good kick here, but again in the middle of the field. Arenas makes you wonder if people are going to learn a 10-yard return after a 44-yard kick. Reese, what's going on at LSU? It's amazing that he has been picked and run back that often.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, it's one thing to throw interceptions. Those hurt. When you throw interceptions, they return for touchdowns. Those devastate.
But it's not like every throw's out in the flat where somebody's got a clean shot at it. They're weaving through traffic. It seems if he throws one, it costs him big time. And now Alabama would just like to start dominating this game and exercising their will over what has to be a tiring Mississippi State defense. 2nd and 4. If they can just get a good drive out of this, maybe a field goal or a touchdown, they could seal this thing. Coffee. But there's no quit in this defense.
You know, the one thing about it, a lot of people are wondering, well, you think Alabama's looking ahead to Florida. They've already wrapped up the SEC West. They know who they're going to play in the SEC championship game. I'm sure everybody knows what Florida did today in just demolishing South Carolina. I don't think there is. Number one, because this team is not a team that's going to score 50 points on people and blow people out. As you said in the open, they've had some tough ball games. I mean, they've been ahead most of all of their games this year, but they've had some tough games. And I think that with Mississippi State, a very game opponent tonight, and their last game against Auburn, their state rival that they haven't beaten in the last 6 years, I don't think there's any look ahead in this Alabama team.
That was Coffee on the toss sweep. Bo Walters, who is a first-time starter now at the weak side linebacker spot, he made the tackle. Let's go back to Holly.
Well, guys, Nick Saban admitted this offense and this team in general has not been an explosive team. He said, we are grinded out guys. That has been their biggest challenge. His biggest concern, though, is they might be emotionally and physically tired tonight. He said, now don't say we're tired, but he did have those concerns about the team tonight.
Well, I think, Holly, when you take a look at LSU and what they're doing tonight, it was such an emotional ball game. And this is McCall, the tight end inside the 25. And LSU plays so physically.
Yeah.
So you've got that. You're at the end of a long season. You've got the emotion of playing at LSU, and I think it's affecting both the teams.
I agree. I absolutely think that game last week took a lot out of Alabama. It looks like they're in a position right now where, I think you said it right, impose their will. They have a chance to do that on this drive and really put Mississippi State out of it.
Ingram checks in to give Coffee a breather. And Ingram inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line. Ingram's had a lot of work this year. That was his 100th carry of the season. And they're going to hurry up and get back to the line of scrimmage, trying to change the tempo a little bit here. Ingram again.
I think it's that feeling that maybe this defense is getting fatigued. Let's just keep pounding it.
Yeah.
Let's not let them substitute. Let's not let them rest. Let's keep the pedal to the metal and try to put one in the end zone and put this game out of reach.
Oh, you can see some guys sucking for air right now. Of course, they're doing another smart thing, too. They're running left.
Yeah.
Third down, 4 yards to go. They are within field goal range, if nothing else. And John Parker Wilson will go to the shotgun. Coffee back in there as the tailback. It's the tight end McCall, or Walker rather, for a first down at the 11-yard line.
Walker is the second leading receiver for Alabama. Now they're saying that he was out of bounds. Julio Jones, the leading receiver, the freshman out of Foley, Alabama. But the second receiver, Nick Walker, as he caught the ball, looked like his left foot was on the chalk.
Tiffin will come on to try the field goal, so instead of a first down, they'll have to try to settle for 3. He's already hit from 35. This will be from 34 from an angle at the left hash mark. And Lee Tiffin knocks it through. He's 15 out of 22 this year on field goal tries, and it's 22-7 Alabama. 22-7 Alabama with some breathing room. Pegues deep again. And we'll take this one from the 8-yard line. Pegues survives and it stays on his feet. Yes, it did. Little pinball bounce. He takes it out to the outside, gets a 33-yard return. And Prince Hall was the guy who blasted him, but didn't make the tackle. This ball club started all the way back in 24th in the Press preseason poll. 24th. That usually means you have no chance at the top during the season. But they beat number 9 Clemson and rolled them in the opener. Then they beat number 3 Georgia, and it wasn't that close. The final was 41-30. They rose to second. October 19th, the first time number 1 since 1980, and they have defended that spot ever since. This pass intended for McCray. Rashad Johnson on the coverage, but they're going to flag him this time. And I can understand the fans' reaction. How could you believe Rashad Johnson could do anything wrong?
Pass interference on the defense, number 49. Penalty on the foul, and includes an automatic first down.
Had 3 picks a week ago as Nick Saban is going to try to argue the point.
Outplaying in man coverage. Boy, it didn't look like a whole lot of contact there.
It didn't. Boy, and some players get a little chippy after every play. Somebody's jawing at somebody else.
The amazing things about this Alabama team. You talk about the turnaround under Nick Saban. Rashad Johnson, the senior, one of only 9 scholarship seniors on this football team, tied with Middle Tennessee for the fewest in college football.
And they're number 1 in the country. Dixon pounds straight ahead for about 3.
And the other side of that same coin is the fact that they are tied for 3rd in terms of true freshmen playing this year. They've played 16 true freshmen this season. Florida State has played 22. Miami has played 21. Alabama and Arkansas both have played 16. And again, they're the number 1 team in the country. That's
now, if you're everyone else, that's not good news.
It's not.
Lee Dixon had it go right through his hands. He would have had a shot at a first down had he made the catch. And Lee has been victimized by his receivers a couple of times tonight.
Yeah, pretty good throw. Just a case of Dixon trying to look upfield and see where he was going to run with it before he secured the catch. He knew it as soon as it went through his hand. Grabbed his helmet.
So a big 3rd down and long for Mississippi State at midfield. Lee wants to go deep. The receiver goes down. Did they tangle feet? If they did, it's incidental contact and nothing. Rashad Johnson was back there, and it may have been Jamiles Smith just stumbled on his own and went down.
Yeah, he stumbled, and Rashad Johnson had a chance to come down with his 6th interception of the season, just not able to make the catch. It was right to him.
Tripped over the 30-yard line. And Rashad Johnson bemoaning the fact that he didn't come down with us. He had 3 a week ago in that LSU game. Arenas is deep for McAdams' kick. Signals fair catch and makes it at the 11. Here's Reese Davis. That'd be a great story. It's a great school, tremendous academic school.
Tell you what, Boston College is the team that impressed me a little bit last week with their defense. They've got 3 conference losses.
Fumble. And Bama got it back. Looked like the center, Antoine Caldwell, pounced on it. You're right about BC. They impressed me, too.
They got 3 conference losses, and yet they still control their own destiny. They could still get to the ACC championship game. Kind of an amazing thing, the way that conference this year is still so up in the air.
Well, this year, almost anybody can get to the ACC championship game. Ingram, 40, midfield. Horse collared and taken down. Ingram just burst off the left side, and that's what happens when you're losing ball games. Yeah. There's a fumble, you don't get it. Next play, you're gashed for 40.
And when you need something to happen, if you're Alabama, run behind 71 and 83 McCall. Watch him take Bo Walters right out of the play. Just cleaned him outside. Travis McCall, number 83, with a good block. Antoine Caldwell with a block. Julio Jones getting in on the blocking action, and a big run for Ingram.
Ingram gets to stay in there. They run left again, bounces it outside. Taken out at the 46. Smith, a junior, 6'4", 330. Projected anywhere from number 1 to number 5 in next year's NFL draft. And he's one of those guys that comes along and the pro scouts go, this is a 15-year player. Yep. This guy will be a starting left tackle for the next 15 years if he doesn't get hurt, and I want him.
Yep. You know, it's funny. Jim McElwain, the offensive coordinator, talking about him, said, you know, he's kind of a quiet guy. He's a real gentle, kind of nice guy. But when he puts his helmet on and steps out onto the field, he becomes a different dude. I mean, he's got a little nastiness to him when he steps on the football field.
Play action. John Parker Wilson will keep it and dive across the 40. They'll mark it just inside the 40, shy of a first down.
Andre Smith is a powerful man and much better known as a run blocker than a pass blocker. Of course, at the next level, the pass blocking will have to really step up for him, but he's big. He's got excellent feet for a guy that big. He's very athletic, big man. And he's, you're right, if he stays healthy, he's going to play and make a lot of money for a long time in the NFL.
But one play, he blocked 3 guys. And it's amazing. He's the kind of guy that when the play is over, he's not going to try to bury somebody just because he can. I mean, the play's over, the play's over. Let's go back and get ready to play the next one. End of the third quarter. Alabama leading and driving at home against Mississippi State. HD. Alabama starts the fourth quarter in front of a sellout crowd ahead 22-7 and driving. They have reached the Mississippi State 37-yard line. First down, Ingram remains the tailback. And he'll get the carry.
You know, it's interesting. When that third quarter ended, I was looking at the Alabama sideline, and almost all the coaches, managers, trainers, all holding both hands up, 4 fingers. You know, and that idea of fighting through the fourth quarter is a really big thing with Nick Saban. And, you know, those signs that were all around the locker room, the football building, the reminders of the scoreboard of Mississippi State last year had those words on it: perseverance and work. What was the other one? Remember?
Obviously not.
Commitment, perseverance, and work.
Ingram inside the 30 to the 28.
But I found it interesting when Nick Saban was talking about it, because all coaches and everybody says, you know, you got to play for 60 minutes. You got to play 60 minutes. And he made the comment, there's the sign, work, commitment, perseverance all over the building. But he said, you know, we're really not talking about playing for 60 minutes. A play is about 5 seconds, and the most any player is going to play on our team is 70 plays as a minute. So you're really not talking about 60 minutes. I didn't do the math. I think Holly did the math. Holly, how much time is that they have to play?
5 minutes and 50 seconds, and he said that because it makes it much more manageable. These guys were kind of emotionally overwhelmed after that tough LSU game, and he's like, you know, hey, these guys can handle 5 minutes and 50 seconds. That's not so much to overcome.
Hard to imagine how exhausted you are after playing for 5 minutes and 50 seconds, isn't it?
Sounds like a typical kicker's night, 5 minutes and 50 seconds, but when you break it down that way, I guess that's what you're talking about.
Hey, one of these days a kicker will win the Heisman and you'll have to vote for him. No. Coffee.
Well, certainly this Alabama team does not possess the same kind of flash and dash that some of the Big 12 teams possess right now. Maybe even not even the same flash that Florida possesses, who they will face in the SEC championship game. But they're solid. They're solid in all 3 phases of the game. They're very strong in the trenches, both offensive and defensive line. And their defense, I think, is a real force.
Every play on this drive has been a run. This is the 10th play of the drive. They picked up nearly 70 yards so far, and it's obvious this Mississippi State defense, which has played so valiantly all night long, is just starting to come to the end of their strength.
Well, the same problem that has plagued Mississippi State all season. No offense really to counter what their defense is trying to do on the field has finally taken its toll on the Bulldogs.
They went to their first bowl in years and years last year as John Parker Wilson being flushed out of the pocket on 3rd and long. And they will stop him well shy and bring on the field goal team. So there was a lot of optimism surrounding the beginning of this season for Sylvester Croom, but he lost 5 players, kicked 5 more off the team, so that severely depleted his depth, and they've lost a couple of heartbreaking games this year. They are going to finish under 500 and not be bowl eligible. And some of the natives already restless. They've got to understand, he was left with a huge hole when he took over this program. 2 NCAA probations in a decade. And we've got to rebuild everything. Another 35-yard field goal. That's 3 in a row for Tiffin. Sam Bradford, Colt McCoy, Graham Harrell, Tim Tebow, not a kicker on the list. Who's leading the Heisman race? We'll discuss it when we come back. UPS. Well, they're happy now. It's been a tense ball game overall. Although #1 Alabama now leads Mississippi State comfortably.
You know, it has the same kind of feel as the last game we did of Alabama, though, with Tennessee. It was close for a while, and then methodically, Alabama just wears them down, and you get that feel that Mississippi State is going to really struggle to score very much against Alabama's defense.
Pegues, who has taken some wicked hits tonight, gets back to the 20. Reese Davis, any change with LSU?
Yes, Mike, there has been a change. Troy's really putting a beat down on him now. Levi Brown driving on a 1st and goal, finds DeJuan Harris. He goes in, and I mean, the stadium is emptying, and Baton Rouge is 31-3, and Kentucky is on the move against Vanderbilt, down by 10 on ESPN2.
You know, when they say there's nothing like Saturday night in Baton Rouge, I don't think they had this in mind.
Oh, my gosh. That's shocking.
Think there might be a little party on the Troy campus tonight? Lee running for his life, throws it away. Dante Hightower was after him. Of course, the SEC, traditionally one of the strongest conferences in the country. Teams on the bubble trying to qualify for the bowls. Vanderbilt can make it with a 6th win tonight. Auburn at 5-6 is going to have to beat Alabama to get there. Arkansas is going to have to win its last 2. Mississippi State would be eliminated with a loss tonight. There are 9 bowl matchups for the conference. Right now, they might not get to 9. Lee under pressure again, got it to Dixon. And Dixon fighting for extra yardage. Really been impressed by Tyson Lee.
Yeah.
He's got some moxie.
Yeah, he does. And he's getting knocked down quite a bit here these last couple possessions. He just keeps getting up and trying to fire the ball downfield. Alabama right now not playing the run very seriously, just trying to really pressure the quarterback with the 25-7 lead.
Red zone alert for Kentucky and Vanderbilt, if you're interested in that ball game. Lee under pressure again. And got that one out to Aubrey Bell, his first catch. Good inside receiver, big rangy kid at 6'3", 217.
Look at Nick Saban. He's hot at his defensive secondary for giving up that play. I mean, he's a perfectionist, as most great head coaches are. I mean, that's the way they operate. He is not happy at all. I mean, he's a defensive-minded guy. He was a coordinator, and his expertise is the secondary, and a couple of his guys just let down right there and gave up the first down.
Some people have higher standards than others.
Yeah.
Lee going deep on this one. Tremendous effort by Eric Riley. Laid out, couldn't quite get there. Kareem Jackson with good coverage.
I still can't get over that LSU score. I mean, we talked about that game last week was going to take something out of both these teams, but I mean, I mean, that sounds like just a laydown. I mean, I can't even imagine that they're getting beat down that bad at home.
I want to have the party hat concession for tonight for Troy. Lee got out of bounds, went by Hightower. When Saban came out on the field, did you see the look from the official who was signaling a timeout? He had his hands over his head and looked down at Nick, and it was almost like, geez, get a grip. You know, you're up 25-7. The game's basically over. But you're right, that's what a perfectionist does. And you drive your guys to not give up here when they may be tired and disinterested, because the next time they're tired, it may be a huge play.
Yep, that's right.
Overthrow for Dixon.
Oh, he had him. He had Dixon in the flat. Would have been another first down. Just threw that one behind the intended receiver. He knew he had pressure coming to his backside, but he had time to make a better throw here and just threw it on the wrong side of his running back.
.9:03 to go in the game. McAdams, who had one blocked earlier tonight for a safety, kicking it to the sideline and gets out of bounds. That way Arenas is not going to have any shot at it. Takes it at the 28. They'll start from there. We'll talk Heisman when we come back.
Hampton Hotels at Hampton. We love having you here. And in part by Nissan, passionate about performance and proud sponsor of the Heisman Trophy.
Welcome back to Tuscaloosa, where #1 and undefeated Alabama now has a comfortable 18-point lead. Hasn't been comfortable all night. They actually trailed late in the first half. They're starting to wear down the Bulldogs a little bit right now. Bama takes over at the 28. John Parker Wilson out of the shotgun. Mississippi State's done a good job getting pressure on him. Has a man wide open and got it. Down to the 35-yard line, complete to Brad Smelly.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that John Parker Wilson was going to see Smelly. He was running down the seam, and all of a sudden he found himself wide open with no one there. Here he is right here, just running down the middle of the defense, and John Parker Wilson, when he scrambled, was able to see him downfield and get him the football.
His brother Chris is the alternating quarterback in South Carolina. And for Brad, the freshman, his 4th catch of the season. Ingram the tailback as they go to 4 wides. Blitz coming. They don't get there. Over the middle, Jones to the 1. Well, they gambled and lost. They blocked it very well, and John Parker Wilson hung in there and hit it for 34.
Well, they went for most of the game, only one play over 20 yards, and now in back-to-back plays, a couple of big plays. A little unusual they'd be throwing at this point in the game, but I think it's just because their offense just didn't do very much tonight. Nick Saban giving them a couple more shots to make some plays.
And Pegues is the injured player, the starting free safety on the Thorpe Award list for the last 2 years. He's the best guy in their secondary.
Here's Julio on the inside. Their go-to guy is going to run to the post. And back-to-back plays, John Parker Wilson has a receiver wide open. Nobody in the middle to contend with Julio Jones.
They brought 6 men on the rush and didn't get there. Pegues is still down, and here's Holly.
Guys, I'll get you an injury update in just a moment, but one of the reasons Alabama has come out and checked it down the field like this is after they were held to just a field goal a few moments ago, Nick Saban came over and just lit up his offense. In particular, he was looking at Julio Jones. Some of the guys were kind of consoling Julio after Nick Saban walked away. After that, John Parker Wilson got up, got in all of the offensive linemen's face and said, let's go finish this game. They felt like they've underachieved so far, and Nick Saban was not happy. Great leadership by John Parker Wilson to come out here and really show that the offense could say something.
Well, one of the biggest things for Nick Saban all off season and just before this season started was last year we didn't finish.
Right.
We didn't finish practices, plays, or games. We're going to do it this year. We have to. And that's why he's staying on these guys. He wants them to finish every single play. Pegues up. He'll come in from the right side of your screen.
Just caught the left shoulder of Julio Jones. Again, Julio Jones is 6'4", 210 pounds. And Pegues went to tackle him, and he took the worst end of that one for sure.
Looked like he probably caught his chin. Ingram, touchdown. Baron Huber, number 40, who doesn't get to play that much. He's a blocking linebacker, comes in short yardage situations. Got him a nice block on that one, and Ingram sailed into the end zone. A 72-yard drive that took less than a minute because of the two big pass plays. And that will send them scampering for the exits as Mississippi State will finally surrender 32 points on the night. And it's 32-7, number one rolling. Alabama with very valid dreams of an SEC and a national championship. They're getting closer and closer. They've got this one wrapped up 32-7, barring a miracle with 7:58 to go against Mississippi State. Then they will have to play Auburn, their arch rival, then the SEC championship game, which will match them against Florida. What a test that will be. If they pass all those, they get to the national championship game. With Pegues on the sideline, they've got a new returner in there, Delman Robinson, the wide receiver.
Well, Javier Arenas really kind of broke this game open. Two huge punt returns. A 46-yarder knocked out at the 3 that set up a touchdown, and then he decided this time to go 80 yards and get all the way to the end zone himself. Add that to a block punt. The first time that Mississippi State tried to punt the football that resulted in a safety, and the special teams have truly been special tonight for Alabama.
Now Alabama can just tee off against Tyson Lee. And that pass incomplete, intended for Aubrey Bell. Here's Reese Davis.
Mike, Sports Center right now.
It's amazing what North Carolina has as a returning group of players and the recruiting class that Roy Williams signed. And there's another dropped ball. This one, Christian Dupree out of the backfield. I mean, the Hall of Fame coach has just lined up one blue chipper after another.
One thing that's interesting to me, as you look ahead a little bit, I mean, we can look ahead to the Alabama-Florida matchup in an SEC championship game. Interestingly, both those teams will have a difficult rivalry game before that championship game. Alabama will play Auburn. They haven't beaten them for 6 years in a row. Florida plays Florida State that same day. So both teams with big interstate rivalries.
Lee running for his life again. Nice cut to get away. Lee on the run as a man open, and it's dropped. Holy cow, Jamile Smith could have made that play. Unofficially, 10 drops tonight. What a play by Tyson Lee.
Well, that shows you the strength of this guy's arm, because he was all the way to the right sideline and off balance, turned and threw it back to the left side of the field. He buys time, he extends the play, and then watch him throw this on the move, moving to his right, throws it back to the left, on time and on target.
Well, that was just spectacular. McAdams. And Arenas pinned against the sideline, tries to take it to the left and find the picket line and cannot. Lost a yard on the return after a punt of 44. Take a look ahead at that SEC championship game, and it's a little odd because it's already been decided.
Yep.
Both teams 7th for Florida in the nation in scoring. Alabama 7th defensively against points. They all have very, very strong units. Florida with all that great speed offensively.
Well, and the other thing, both teams, as we've seen tonight with Alabama's special teams, Florida has played outstanding special teams this year. I think they've got 5 block kicks this year, block punts. They've got a dangerous return man of their own in Brandon James. I mean, it's going to be a whale of a matchup between those two teams. 6 times Alabama has earned a spot in the SEC championship game, and every time the opponent has been Florida. So here we go again.
Greg McElroy is the new quarterback. John Parker Wilson's night is over. He's a sophomore out of Southlake, Texas. How many Texas kids are either 1 or 2 quarterbacks on elite programs all over the country? Another solid night for John Parker Wilson, who owns virtually every Alabama quarterback record.
Yeah, interesting seeing him at that restaurant yesterday morning eating breakfast with his dad. It's kind of a neat tradition that they've had going this year. Got a younger brother named Peyton, named after a pretty fair quarterback as well, Peyton Manning.
He said everybody has gotten more and more superstitious as the year has rolled on, and he said we're going to have breakfast there every Friday morning. As long as we're winning, there's no way we're not showing up.
There's an interesting story because last year Peyton wore, there's Peyton right there, got the 14 jersey on, the houndstooth hat. He wore that hat every game. And the Tennessee game last year, which was a great win for Alabama, they were 6-2 after that game, and he lost his hat. And they couldn't find it, and the season kind of went straight down after that. And this summer, his dad had a flat tire in his truck, and he was changing the tire, and he reached into where the spare was, and there was the kid's hat. Put it back on this year, and they haven't lost since. So another superstition, I guess.
That sounds like, you know, the woman who loses her wedding ring and they find it in the shower drain, you know, but the husband actually went out and bought another ring. So I'm not sure. But we'll go with it. It's a great story.
Great story. See, I didn't even go there. I was never even thinking. I had bought that story completely.
That's because you're a very trusting, very nice person, and I'm not. All right, right now, when you take a look at the Heisman Trophy race, it comes down to quarterbacks again. It has more and more in the last few years. I got to tell you, Graham Harrell has just impressed the daylights out of me.
He's been unbelievable. He really has. And, you know, their offense is so exciting, so fun to watch. They've played at an extremely high level. I think he was 40 of 50 last week against Oklahoma State for some ridiculous total number of yards. He'll have a huge stage next week against Oklahoma. Actually, Bradford and Graham Harrell will be on the same field, and that'll be a huge, huge ball game with a lot of national significance to it, and quite possibly the Heisman Trophy might be decided in that game. I mean, it very well could be. And these two guys have just both lit it up. I mean, look at the touchdowns to interceptions. Unbelievable.
Yes, it is. And you wouldn't go very wrong if you wanted to vote for Colt McCoy either.
No, absolutely.
He's just been brilliant.
And Tebow, to his credit, has a better team, and you know, he is not the #1 only option offensively for the Gators anymore. I mean, he's doing a magnificent job, and their offense is getting revved up more and more each week.
Yes, it is.
Playing at a very high level, but he's just not doing the same kind of things he was asked to do last year.
And you don't hear him whining about it either, do you?
Not at all.
I mean, he's a kid who's going to give up carries, which I think is good for him long term, and his physical health. But he's going to give those up for the good of the team because because it's better for everybody if he stays healthy and takes less of a beating. But those are some pretty special quarterbacks there. Jeremy Griffin getting a chance to run the ball for the first time this year. Tough night for Mississippi State. They had beaten this program 2 years in a row, came in here. Their defense fought its heart out. And if they'd gotten just a little bit of help on special teams and not made those mistakes, this could have been a much closer game for a lot longer. And Arenas just killed them. And that'll be enough for a first down to Griffin. McElroy completes a pass. He had only thrown 7 times this year before the last couple of minutes. It's always nice to see guys get a little game action. They work so hard during the week and prepare so hard to be ready. And there's only so much you can learn on the bench, too, isn't there?
Yeah, you really, the truest learning comes on the field, you know, at game speed, game action. Saw John Parker Wilson stand on the sideline there. I guess they'll be happy to know that they can take those signs down in the locker room and around the football complex after tonight.
That was Demetrius Good getting a chance to carry the ball. Texas Tech undoubtedly relaxing and watching the national picture. Alabama will remain undefeated, go to 11-0.
The real interesting thing to see what's going to happen is next week. If Oklahoma were to beat Texas Tech, do they go above Texas? You know, that it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out.
Would they go above Florida?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's fascinating the way the voters see it now. If you are impressive against a good ball club, they are willing to jump you over other people who were not impressive that week. And I think that's good for the game. Remember, Alabama came from number 24 in the preseason to number 1. 10 years ago, that couldn't have happened, no matter what the scenario. Now it's possible if you're impressive enough and beat good teams soundly enough. Clock running under a minute to go. McElroy, the quarterback. And throws to the sideline complete. And that's Smelly again. He's out of bounds to stop the clock with 39 seconds to go. And there's an injured player for Mississippi State.
Jesse Bowman, he's played a pretty good ball game tonight. Big defensive tackle.
And they will tend to Jesse Bowman. We'll check on him when we come back.
No, you can't have.
That would be nice to see. Commodores would go to 6-4. Bowman, who has had 6 tackles tonight, helped up. Boy, it just makes your heart sick to see it, doesn't it?
Jesse Bowman, one of 8 senior starters on this Bulldog defense.
But I'll try to point it out again. If their offense just had the ability to run a little bit better and take time off the clock and not leave these guys on the field all the time, what kind of numbers might they be able to put up defensively? Griffin down near the 22. And they will not have to run another play. So Alabama will go to 11-0. And hold on to number 1 by virtue of a 32-7 win over Mississippi State. Todd, they were concerned about a letdown. They may have had a little one, but they overcame.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it was a letdown. I just think Mississippi State was fresh. They had the week off. They came out. They had a nice plan defensively. And it just took Alabama a little while to get rolling. But they never panicked. They didn't panic last week on the road. They didn't panic at home this week when it started slowly. And eventually they were able to impose their will on the Mississippi State team.
And we always hear about the importance of special teams. It showed up tonight. And Holly is with the special team star, Javier Arenas.
Well, he set new school records in 3 categories tonight, but I know that's not going to be important to you. How do you feel like your returns really change the complexion of this game?
Well, I don't really focus on things like that when I'm out there. You know, I'm just playing ball, you know, trying to make a play. You know, at the end of the game, like right now, when I look back at it, you know, it made a major difference, but that makes a team effort, you know what I'm saying? So.
This was a game that you guys could have really had a big letdown. You expended so much energy last week. How did you avoid it?
Just, we've been in situations like this before. Last year, these guys beat us, you know, and that hunger to get a victory against a team that's dominated us for 2 years, you know, and a team that, you know, all respect due to them, shouldn't be dominating us for 2 years. You know, we had a certain hunger to come out here and take this win.
All right, well, thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, Holly. The final score, 32-7, Alabama over Mississippi State. Coming up next on ESPN, stay tuned for SportsCenter for a wrap-up of this game. Catch us on ESPN News in just a few minutes. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, and our entire ESPN crew led by Bo Garrett and Scott Johnson, this is Mike Patrick. Good night from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.